Hey, John, great to see you again.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. First, well, we're doing a whole leadership series here, but I'd love you to tell the audience, first of all, who you are, what you do, and a little bit of the special project that I'm really excited about what you are in charge of.
Absolutely. So my name is John Trefry. I am the founder and CEO of 4WT Media, and we are a next generation video production company and agency. And what that means is that we work with brands and advertisers to create high impact video content. We work both in the digital ecosystem, producing viral videos and campaigns for online, as well as producing television commercials.
And real quick, tell us about the Great Lakes.
Absolutely. So I was actually born and raised in Anchorage, Alaska, but my family is from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So I grew up spending a lot of time around the Great Lakes, and I started to make a film a couple years ago just about where my family's from and a unique area because I love the Great Lakes. And what I stumbled upon was this massive issue, which is the falling water levels of the Great Lakes. And so I have been working on a film really exploring what is causing that and really more importantly, what we can do to prevent further drops in the water levels.
That's awesome. I think you just answered one of the questions I wanted to ask you about how you're making a difference out there in the world.
Yeah, Mark, it's totally a passion project for me, but it's really taken over as one of the primary things that we're doing at my company because, rather than a lot of our client work and working with brands, this doesn't have a direct client attached, but we just think it's so important. And I think, the Great Lakes, for anybody who's been around them, they can just know the awesome scale and beauty, but also, I mean, huge for the economy of both the U.S. and Canada. The Great Lakes, the 8 states and 2 Canadian provinces that all border the Great Lakes make up the second largest economy in the world.
Well, being from Canada and speaking on behalf of the Canadians, thanks. Good job. um, so, with all that, you've obviously encountered areas of leadership, including your own. Could you give us, from your perspective, obviously, what's your definition of leadership?
Yeah, great question. So I think that leadership to me is really about the collective belief in an idea, and that is leadership is an individual's ability to communicate an idea that other people can get excited about and really believe in.
Hmm.
And I've worked for many different managers and CEOs over the years, and I personally believe that it's really about inspiration and elevating people. I've worked for CEOs. I won't name any names, but some guys who really tend to be more on the rule by fear and intimidation, and that's their management style. And I personally fall much more on the side of let's how can I connect with the people that I manage directly and also others who I want to bring under the umbrella of whatever idea project that we're pursuing, and really give them something tangible that they can take and make their own. Something that I've learned in the advertising and marketing world that I think is so relevant to leadership
Hmm.
is this idea that if you can encapsulate an idea and really condense it into something that another person can pitch, then you really have something. Because if they can take it back to their boss or they can take it to um, their friends and family and say, "Oh, you'll never believe this film that I stumbled upon. It's all about the falling water levels of the Great Lakes, and it's important because that's the largest body of fresh water in the world." We really work on those things in my company, and I personally leadership is so much about uh, inspiring people and really giving them an idea that they can internalize and really have ownership themselves of.
Yeah, there was a quote, I'll say really briefly, that Maya Angelou, who just unfortunately passed away, one of the most famous quotes I ever heard her say was that people will, most of the time, won't remember everything you say, everything you've done, but they will remember how you made them feel.
Yeah, I think that's a really great way to look at leadership as well, because doing a lot of public speaking and presenting, especially with this documentary project, it's so much about the emotional connection and less about what you say and more about how you say it. Are you actually connecting with people? Because
Right.
at the end of the day, we are just bombarded with so much information, so many facts and figures and statistics. What is it that's going to differentiate, your ideas and you as a leader? And so I think that's a great quote, and especially when doing presentations in a live setting, I really try to think about that. I mean, on a very practical level, where I try to connect with individuals in the audience and really observe, like, hey, am I actually making some sort of emotional impact and connection with this person? Because if I can do that, then I'm at least reaching that one person in the audience, and it's just so much more authentic.
There's no doubt about it. Good for you. I think that's really brilliant. With respect to people, have you had anybody in particular that's been an influence or an influencer on your career or your life, for that matter?
Absolutely. I've been lucky to have some incredible mentors. I'll keep it brief and just name two. Before I started this company and really, just in my travels and my journeys, building my career, and I actually was worked in the food industry and worked as a caterer and as a personal chef, believe it or not. And one of my mentors in that field was a gal called Leanne Wong, and she's a fantastic chef that some people may know from Top Chef, the TV show, where she was a contestant and then went on to be a culinary producer. But something that she really imparted on me, as somebody at the very highest level of culinary, in the culinary world, is that it's, great food is not about how fancy it is or how expensive or the prestige. It's about how people feel and can they really enjoy it. And I've just taken that ideology and those learnings and applied them to so many other areas of my life, because early on when I got into the food business, I thought, oh, well, it's about where you've worked and, how much do you know, and, how fancy can you make it? And she really broke that all down for me and really just focused on, hey, if it tastes good, if it can put a smile on somebody's face, then you've done your job, and it doesn't have to be some big fancy dish. So that those lessons have really helped me. And then the second mentor is really huge impact on me. A former CEO of called Jason Nazar, who runs DocStock and is the founder and CEO of that company. And Jason has been a real formative influence on my career, and especially as a CEO, I've taken a lot away from my experience and my time with him. He was one of the most dynamic and inspirational CEOs that I've ever had the good fortune of working with, and something that he really imparted on me that I think about every day is really communicating with my team and having a very clear consensus of what it is we're all doing, both on a high level of where are we going, what are our goals for, this quarter and this year.
Sure.
Then also on a tactical level, what are we doing every day? And we actually, I borrow something that I learned with Jason and my time at DocStock, which is we do a stand-up meeting in the morning, every morning, where our stakeholders and our team all stand in a circle and just talk about what it is that we're doing for the day. And it's a way to really just be clear in what you're doing, and also hold each other accountable for what it is that we're doing. So I give huge props and thanks to Jason Azar and Leanne Wong for being mentors and big influences on me in very different but important facets of my professional growth and development.
There's a great opportunity there for having a dinner cooked by her while everybody eats it standing up.
Hey, whatever works, right?
Again. So you've seen different cultures and you come from different backgrounds. Then how do you perceive the best way to develop or have a winning culture in an organization?
That's a really good question, Mark. I think that company culture is so valuable, and also oftentimes really undervalued in the traditional corporate world. I think that there's this idea that it can really devalue the fabric and the way that we really think about what is the company, what is the lifeblood, what is the heart and soul of this organization. A great book that I highly recommend for the audience out there is Four Obsessions of an Extraordinary Executive. And it's a fable, but it's a very kind of real nuts and bolts look at company culture and how important that is, and something that we do, and I think is really important, at least in our organization, to really develop that company culture and nurture it, is taking time out of like every quarter, or every just doing it periodically throughout the year, where we revisit our values and look at what it is that makes us ourselves, and also think about how each person plays a role in that.
Right.
So I think company culture is so important, and developing that is an exercise that really pays off and rewards. I mean, in so many ways, it's very, very crucial.
Yeah, I agree. I have a client who is in the food business, and they have a headquarters, corporate headquarters, a big company now. And every year they take the people from the corporate headquarters somewhere and remind them that they're not in the corporate headquarters business of accounting, of an IT or marketing. They're actually in the food business. So there you
Absolutely.
go. Yeah.
And doing offsites, doing retreats, I mean, I think it's a very powerful tool to get people out of that mentality of, okay, hey, I'm in my office, I'm in my zone, and really connect with, what are we doing? We spend more time at our jobs typically than we do with our families.
Yeah.
And, we're, at least at my company, I try to nurture this idea that everybody has a voice, and it's an open forum for ideas and sharing, what it is that inspires us. Because if you can really get that out of people, they're going to put in so much more, not just, work the extra hours if need be, but also just be more effective in the time that they do spend.
No doubt. And real quick, they will also be your champions and your branders out there to other people, and help you acquire other talent, help you acquire other projects. It's an amazing thing, especially in this day and age of social media, where things get out really quick. Hey, let me ask you another question. Who do you go to for advice? Do you go to those two influencers, or?
I do. Yeah, and also, I mean, family is a huge
Right.
influence in my life. My father actually is an entrepreneur, so I look up to him in a huge way and reach out to him for advice. But I just really nurture a very healthy network of people who I trust and whose opinions I respect. Because if I can be of service to them and in some way help them and also have that reciprocated, I find that to be so valuable because it's for me like I don't always look at what it is the direct correlation of, okay, hey, I'm going to help this person because they're going to do X for me. But just as a general rule of thumb, I think that if you're generous with your ideas and can help others because you align with them on what they believe and their ideology, it'll always come back to you.
Well, I agree 100%. I'll just say this real briefly. I've always coached kids in sports, and at the end of the day, I usually get way more from them than I think they usually get from me. So it's kind of the same thing. Some finishing off quick questions for kind of fun. And
Sure.
this is an older question, but I always loved it. Leaders, past leaders, present leaders. Anybody sticks out that you'd love to have that infamous drink or dinner with?
Yeah, I really admire James Cameron. I'm in the media and entertainment business, obviously. Something that I really look up to him for is that he's both equally a right brain uh, uh, engineer and very sharp mathematical
Right.
sense, but then also the left brain, the creative, and that kind of balance between the two is so impressive to me, and I really admire that in him. So I'd love to have a drink with him and pick his brain sometime.
I'll see what I can do. Um, these are more one-wordish type of answers for fun. Do you have a favorite sport?
Uh, I would say watch football, play frisbee.
Oh, cool. That's a new one. That's great. Favorite movie and or TV show?
Um, God, this is super cliche, but I love Citizen Kane. Um,
Hey, that's
T-
classic. Good for you.
yeah, TV show. I would have to say Game of Thrones. I'm a huge fan.
Yes, nice choice. Do you have a favorite music or type?
Believe it or not, I love house music. I love electronic music. Been listening to it ever since I was a wee lad.
Oh, wee lad. All right. Someone else just told me house music. We're on a trend here. And do you have a favorite type of food you like to eat while you're listening to the house music?
Um, I love sushi because I don't typically make it.
Hmm.
That I would say Japanese and sushi is high on my list.
Well, last thing, there's a great documentary out on a fellow named Hiro, the top sushi chef in Japan. I don't know if you ever heard of him. It's a great documentary.
Oh, I love it.
Sorry?
I love it. I haven't eaten in this restaurant, but it's on my
Oh, there
list.
you go. Okay, it's fantastic. Hey, listen, really appreciate your time, your perspective, and I look forward to again seeing you soon. And have a great rest of the day.
Thanks, Mark, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be on. And for folks that like to learn more about what I'm doing, you can check me out on 4wtmedia.com, which is my company, and also the documentary that we're working on is at drainfilm.com. But really appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, Mark.
I'll make sure they know about it. You take care.
All right.